Welcome to Lions Academy. If you're looking to build a career in IT audit and you want to understand how the work is actually done, you definitely are in the right place. On this channel, I break down IT audit in a simple and practical way so that you can move from confusion to clarity and start applying what you learn with confidence. In today's video, I am going to show you how to use Excel, specifically VLOOKUP, to perform real IT audit testing. I'm not going to be showing you just a formula, but I'm going to be explaining how it connects to identifying control failures and making clear audit conclusions. So I am going to be showing you how to use VLOOKUP in a practical way for IT audit testing. Okay, we are not just going to be learning the formula for the sake of Excel. We are going to be using it to compare data. We are going to be using it to identify exceptions, like I said, and also to support our testing conclusion the way an IT auditor will do in a real engagement. Okay, so before I go ahead, let me just explain what does VLOOKUP do. For those of you that don't know what VLOOKUP does, VLOOKUP actually help you to search for a value in one column of a table, and then you return related information from another column. So you are looking for something item A in a column and you want it to return the value in column B. In IT audit, it is a very useful tool when you are comparing files against one another. And trust me, you would always compare files. You would work with multiple data. You cannot do it manually. You will not be able to do your search manually. So you need to know how to use VLOOKUP. For example, if you are comparing HR termination listing to system user listing, or you're comparing privilege access listing to an approved IT team, roster, and that is what I am going to be teaching you today. That is the sample we are going to be doing today. So I'm going to be walking us through two scenarios. We are going to compare HR terminated employees to all system users to help us identify active access after termination. And then we are also going to do a scenario so where we are going to compare users with admin roles to the approved IT team lead to identify any inappropriate admin access. And we are going to be using the VLOOKUP formula. Okay? Here on my tab, I have different tabs that we'll be using. So I'm going to start with the All System User tab. This tab is the main system population. This is the population that has all users. Okay? HR terminated employees are employees who have left the organization, and as such they are not supposed to be in the user all system user population again because they have been terminated. They are supposed to have been removed in a timely manner. And then we have the users with admin role. These are users that have elevated access, that are supposed to have administrator access. Then IT team role, these are the approved IT users, and this is where we'll check whether the admin access is appropriate or not. So let's get right into it. So this is scenario one. Terminated scenario one for terminated users. Like we want to use it to determine if terminated users were removed in a timely manner. The audit objective is to identify if terminated employees still have active access to the system. And this is what you will do when you are testing for joiners, movers, or leavers in your control testing. Okay? So this is it. Because of time, I already put in the formula, and I am going to explain what the formula I have is doing. So what we want to do is we are going to use the VLOOKUP formula. And what this formula is doing is that I'm telling this formula, go and check if this terminated user still exists in the system. If it exists in the system, bring back the system access status. if it is active or disabled. Okay. If you don't find the user, come back and tell me not found. And so I'm going to explain this formula to you. I'm starting with the VLOOKUP formula. So I'm saying VLOOKUP, look for this user ID. That's scenario 1, terminated user A2. This is this tab. Look for this user in the all system user tab. This is the all system user tab from column A to I. And return the value, the access status value. This is the value for access status. Return the access status value and tell me if it is active or disabled. So this is what we are doing. So VLOOKUP, look for this user in column A2. Look for it in the all system user status tab and return if the status is active or not. Okay, so that is the main formula here. So it should bring out active, disabled, whatever the formula is. So the Excel is searching from the all system user tab and returning the value there. And then what does the value in column 7? And then what does this false do? The access status false means that if you find the user, return the value in column 7. And column 7 could either be active or disabled. And then the false means that give me the exact match, either active or disabled. That's what the false syntax here is doing. Give me the exact match, no guessing, no partial match. Give me access status, active or disabled. Okay? And this is what the formula you use so that you are precise. It's not saying like it looks like it wants to know. The false syntax is saying give me the exact value of the access status, active or disabled. And then the last part of not found, it now comes to the portion was like, oh, what if the VLOOKUP, if Excel cannot find the user there, then return not applicable. It returns not applicable. So that's why we have the if error. If error returns not found. Okay? Sometimes you might not need to put that. If I didn't put the if error formula not found, it probably will return. If it doesn't find it, it will just return NA. But I am putting this additional formula to say if error return not found. Okay? So if the result comes back as active after termination date, then we'll know the set. So this is the formula. Once you have that formula, in the first column, you drag down. And it will give you all the status. Okay? Now, we know the system status. But how do we know if it is a test, if it is a pass or a fail for our audit conclusion? And that is why I have this column here and this formula. Okay? So if the result comes back as active after termination date, it is a fail. Because the user is terminated, the user is not supposed to be in the system. So if the system status is still showing active, that means this control failed. This user testing failed because the person is still active after termination. Okay? If it was removed, if the result is disabled or not found, that is a pass, depending on the control, because the user was removed. You can no longer find the user in the system. So that is what the formula I have here for the test result. I am saying if D2, that is this column, is not found, tell me fast. The user has been removed from the system. And then I went ahead to say, if D2, if the answer is disabled, it is passed because the access has been removed from the system. And then the last part, if D2 is active, equal to active, it's a fail because the user is active after termination. And if otherwise, it requires a review. Okay? So that's the formula in here. And then once I'm done, I drag it down. Okay, So now we can see that we have just I should have color coded it. Brain is fast, pass, pass. Okay? And every other thing is a field. Every other thing we have in there is a field. Because there's a formula you can use to do the color coding configuration also. So every other thing is a field. Because these users, they are terminated, there's a termination list, and we are still seeing them in the all system user list as active. Okay, so that is the testing for that we just completed. Okay, so now let's move to scenario 2. So like I said, moving to scenario 2, the objective here is to identify users with admin access who are not part of the approved IT team list. So we want to check for the users that have administrator access and they are not part of the approved IT team list. Okay. So this is the formula. The first one is I want to identify the people who have admin roles. Okay. So I'm doing a VLOOKUP, looking for this user, the user ID, and then I'm going to the users with admin role, telling it to return the value in column B to tell me if the person has an admin role. Okay, so going back here, look for A4 in the users with admin role tab and return the value in column 4 and tell me if the person is an administrator or not. That is the formula. So I'm going to bring this down, and you can see it's showing us the admin role each of these pieces have. And then the next column here, I am testing to hey, go ahead, look for users with access. Okay, look for the users with admin access. Look for them in the IT team role, and return. Let me know if they are part of the IT team, approve people that are supposed to be in the IT team or not. Otherwise, return false or return not in IT team. Okay? So that is the formula I have here. And if I drag this down, we can see that all these people are in the IT team. We have a match. And these are the people that are not in the IT team role. Now for our testing result, what I'm saying is here, if G4 equals to not in IT team, fail, because this person is having an administrator role and it's supposed to be in the ICT. Okay, so return fail and review that access, review admin access. If the person return pass, if the person is an approved IT team user. So that is what we have here. We have gone ahead to look for all the administrators and check if they are in IT team. So if you review the administrator role and it comes out with not in IT team role because they are having administrator access, failing, and then pass if they are an approved IT user. So that's what I have here, and I'm going to go drag it down. And we can see all these people failed because we need to review because they are not part of the ICT. So if you search for these people manually in the ICT room, we are not going to find their name there. So they failed. They are not part of the ICT role, and they are having administrator role because we saw them in the users with admin role report. These are all users with admin role report, but they are not part of ICT. Not all of them are part of ICT, and that is what I have done there. So from an audit perspective, a user with admin access who is not part of approved ICT is indicating inappropriate privilege access, and that will be documented as an exception and needs to be followed up upon. Okay, in real life, once you have your testing done, you should be able to explain like an auditor. State the control objective. Here had the control objective. State the population compared. We were comparing initially. We compared the HR terminated user with the all system user, and then for the second one, we were comparing the IT role and the system administrator report. the formula, whatever formula you are using, make sure it is clear, someone can reperform it, okay? And make sure you always link the result back to your risk, okay? If I would explain this, I would go ahead and say I use VLOOKUP to compare the HR termination employee file to the system user population, and I was able to identify several terminated users whose access status remained active. This indicates a breakdown in timely deprovisioning and increases the risk of unauthorized access. You see, I have stated everything I said you should be able to explain like an IT auditor in my summary. Okay? Before I wrap up this video, let me talk about some common mistakes to avoid. Maybe you are using the word true instead of false and getting an approximate match. In your formula, what this false does is that give me the exact match. If you use true, it will not give you the exact match. Or maybe you select the wrong table or the wrong return column. For example, in my VLOOKUP, if I say return the value in maybe column 3 instead of column 2, I definitely will get a wrong result. Okay? You are using duplicate user ID. So just make sure that your Excel formula is appropriate. As I write up once again, the key takeaway that you should note is that VLOOKUP is not just an Excel skill. It is very important. It is a practical audit tool that you need for comparing files to identify exceptions and also to support your control testing. If you understand the logic behind your formula, you can apply the same approach to many different audit scenarios. Okay? If you need more videos like this, please drop a comment in my comment section, and I'll definitely bring you more practical hands-on video like this in my subsequent videos. Thank you. My name is Layo. Have a pleasant day.